On Monday, President Trump tweeted, "The Democrat-controlled House never even asked John Bolton to testify." End quote. So that the record is accurate, did House impeachment investigators ask Mr. Bolton to testify?
Senators, the answer is yes. Of course, we asked John Bolton to testify in the House, and he refused. We asked his deputy, Dr. Kupperman, to testify, and he refused. Fortunately, we asked their deputy, Dr. Fiona Hill, to testify, and she did. We asked her deputy, Colonel Vindman, to testify, and he did. But we did seek the testimony of John Bolton, as well as Dr. Kupperman, and they refused. When we subpoenaed Dr. Kupperman, he sued us, took us to court. When we raised a subpoena with John Bolton's counsel, the same counsel for Dr. Kupperman, the answer was, Senator, you serve us with a subpoena and we will sue you too. We knew, based on the McGahn litigation, it would take months, if not years, to force John Bolton to come and testify. And I should point out, because I think this is an essential point to underscore, as the president's lawyers say, they didn't try hard enough to get John Bolton, or they should have subpoenaed John Bolton. That's what they're telling you. But let me show you what they're telling the court in the McGahn litigation. If we could pull up slide number 39. This is the president's lawyers in court in the McGahn litigation. In the Court of Appeals right now, quote, "The committee," meaning our committee, "lacks Article III standing to sue to enforce a congressional subpoena demanding testimony from an individual on matters related to duties as an executive branch official." I mean, it takes your breath away, the duplicity of that argument. They're before you saying they should have tried harder to get these witnesses, they should have subpoenaed, they should have litigated for years, and down the street in the federal courthouse, they're arguing, "Judge, you need to throw them out. They have no standing to sue to force a witness to testify." Are we really prepared to accept that? Now, counsel says, think about the precedent that we would be setting if you allow a House to impeach a president and you permit them to call witnesses. Well, I would submit, think about the precedent you will be setting if you don't allow witnesses in a trial.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.